Season 2, Episode 3 of the Hotspur America podcast. Tonight, we talk Friday Curry and Gazza. We have to talk about Leicester because we have no choice. We're going to have a moan about 2 points from 3 games. We'll discuss our manager, preview the Everton game, answer some questions from listeners, and ponder the most important question of all. Where is Kenny Saxton? All this and more on tonight's Hotspur America podcast.
And naturally, I'm a Tottenham man, obviously. I can reflect back to being a player with and manager of some of the finest players that have ever been in the game.
The place is fantastic, the tradition of this club.
To be the manager of 3 cup-winning teams here, I'm so lucky, it's untrue.
Hotspur America podcast, airing every week during the English Premier League season.
What a glory night at White Hart Lane. This great and historic football club.
Joyful night down the Tottenham High Road.
Hotspur America, the original US-based podcast dedicated solely to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Is Gascoigne going to have a crack? He is, you know. Oh, I say! Schoolboy's own stuff.
I hate Arsenal, just hate them.
Oh, my God! Unbelievable! Wow, this is incredible.
We're the Yids in America.
Dempsey's there to tap in.
What a fantastic run! He scored! Alex Turnbull, Eric Dyer.
This is your Hotspur America.
Season 2, Episode 3 of the Hotspur America podcast. I'm Sam Zurwell. Simon Dodsworth, the chairman, is on with me. It's only 2/3 of the Hotspur America crew tonight. But I guess, as they say, Simon, when the cat's away, the mice play. How are you, mate?
The show must go on.
It must indeed. So Kenny can't be with us. We'll discuss where he is, or take guesses as to where he is or what he's doing a little bit later.
Oi, oi.
Yeah, we miss you. This is a first. I've never dreamt that we would do this without Kenny, so we're a bit lost, but we'll try and make the best of it. So we're a day late, hopefully not $1 shy. Lots to talk about. Chairs, where do we begin? Oh, wait. I know where we begin. Let's talk about Friday night curry in Gazza.
Ah, yes, indeed.
So what'd you do Friday night?
Well, Ken was in town from Grimsby, and he was in town to take his daughter off to college today.
Texas A&M University.
The Aggies. And he had a pit stop in Dallas. So it was a perfect opportunity since he scarpered all sharpish-like back in, when was that, June?
Yep.
To the northern parts of the country, and we figured it would be a perfect opportunity to have the cast of Hotspur America over at the chairman's gaff, and we whipped up a bit of a Ruby Murray, although Sam wasn't quite sure what a Ruby was.
No,
Till I enlightened him on my really bad Cockney rhyming slang. So yeah, I whipped up a curry, and we had some ale and a good banter. A look at the goods in the chairman's office, and then we had a little screening of Gascoigne. What did you think of that?
It was amazing. I got in trouble over it though.
I think you did.
I did because I had I never knew that was a full-length film. I thought that was a sort of kind of like remember the Hoddle special that Sky did?
Yep.
So never been released here. So I didn't put one and one together, and I saw you pull out the old DVD. But I didn't realize it was a 90-minute, full-length feature film. I mean, it was brilliant, to say the least, and brought back, loads of memories. And I thought it was really, really well done. Great people doing it. I think Lineker did a bang-up job. I thought he was. I think he's an incredibly honest guy. I really do. And he's, for all of his bravado and for all of the spectacle, he was obviously a very, very sensitive guy, and just an incredible story. And so I was teary-eyed the whole time. It was great. It was really great.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's the second time I've watched it, but even the second time around, some of the stories that the young lad he was walking off to football practice with ran ahead and got killed by the car. You could tell that still haunts him to this day, and the shock of being hacked for 11 years.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I had no idea it was.
Well, and I think that's our disconnection from the UK. We don't necessarily hear those stories because that's in the papers every day, and it's not newsworthy over here. And
yeah.
Certainly with the advent of social media, it probably would have been a bit more rife, but back then that was not something we would necessarily have found out without digging. So that was kind of shocking, and it does explain a lot as to the problems he's had in his later life since he quit football, because that really all happened towards the end of his career, his playing career. And, it's definitely enlightened. I don't think anyone is looking at this and he's saying, well, pity me now that you know the story. For me, the football was fantastic. For him to say that he played his best football for Spurs, and I think even the neutrals agree that, as much as, no disrespect to the Scottish Premier League and to Rangers, but that's a pretty easy ticket for a player of his quality at that time. And Rangers, wasn't that when they were winning 10 titles in a row?
Oh, yeah, I think he literally won everything there. I mean, short of Europe.
And so it's not that difficult to see why he says that playing his best football was at Tottenham. And I think we're all proud to acknowledge that fact. And he did. He single-handedly carried us to the cup final, and unfortunately he couldn't walk up those steps, and you could tell that still grates with him to this day. But very enlightening DVD, very enjoyable.
It's brilliant. I mean, I remember him saying, as a schoolboy, his one dream was to walk up the steps of Wembley and lift silverware, and to basically single-handedly get us there. Yet have to watch that from a hospital bed,
right?
And relative to all the trauma that he had, I think my biggest takeaway was the fact that 11 years of literally thinking that he was going crazy. Everybody around him didn't believe him, and thought he was just a mad drunk, and I think it destroyed his family relationships. And in reality, he was somewhat proven. Well, he really was. It was proven right. It was news of the world, wasn't it?
Yeah,
crazy. Just crazy. And, another time, I still don't know how they managed to do it, but it certainly contributed to a lot of his demise. Did he ever get compensation? Did he ever get damages for that?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to look that up. So that was great. That was really terrific. It was a wonderful Friday night. It was just great to see Ken again. I knew that I was going to be there Friday night because I wasn't sure whether I was going to be there for the match Saturday, which ultimately I wasn't. So it was just great catch up. Great to, three dudes sitting on a couch watching a Gazza film with tears in our eyes, and
saying nothing because we're trying to not let the others hear us. Sniff.
I was like having to very turn my head and wipe the moisture from my eyes. That was great. I was really, really glad that you did that. So when I came home and my wife was wondering why the hell I was so late, I was like, it was Gazza. It was the chairman had a Gazza movie. So thanks for.
Well, you doing that. You left, and we plowed on till about 1 a.m. watching Mickey Flanagan after Spurs' greatest victories over the Woolwich. So yeah, it was a long night.
You've got a treasure trove of Tottenham memorabilia. I posted a picture of your photo of your office. Actually, with just really one wall, one side of your office, and tweeted that out, and Davey, the Spurs poet, immediately just said that was brilliant, and it was. And then you've got that closet with all this stuff. I can't even imagine how many films you had, DVDs you have on Spurs. So it was great. If any listener ever needs a book or a film, chances are Chairman has it. You should reach out to him. So that was wonderful, and for as wonderful as that was, Saturday was a bit of a different story, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit of a letdown, to be honest. We had a decent turnout. We first debut for Dallas Spurs at the Staggering Irishman, and as to be expected, attendance kind of drops off a little bit based on how the team's doing. I hate to say we're all fickle, but the novelty of the new season's wearing off very quickly with us, and 2 points from three games is not a good return. I don't want to make comparisons to how we started off last season because, we had 2 great victories, top of the table after 2 games, and came down with a thump in the 3rd game when we lost 3-0 at home to Liverpool. So it's not that grim. The performances haven't been like they were in that Liverpool game. However, I've got to say they've steadily declined. I thought we did well at United and deserved more than the outcome. We had a great first half against Stoke and then a meltdown in the second. We didn't even show up at Leicester.
No, it was pretty grim. It was It was pretty grim. It wasn't entertaining. There were some bouts of what I would call sort of some individual talent, but as a collective, it struck me as a very, very poor showing. I mean, look, Leicester is an energetic team. They've got speed. I don't think it was ever going to be easy. They certainly had two performances that allowed them to have some confidence, and so I didn't really necessarily think it was going to be an easy match. But I felt that somebody had said earlier in the week that as a team we have a collection of much better individual players, and unfortunately, it didn't really show, did it?
No,
didn't really show. I've been asking people, do you think we deserved? You think we got what we deserved? And I really don't know that we were really deserving of a draw. It wasn't that they had... Well, they did. I mean, they had some quality chances, and I think they had some opportunities that you could argue that they should have scored.
Well, they could have won it at the end on Morgan's head.
Oh, right.
Corner. I mean, it was point blank directly at Hugo, and it just has to be a couple of feet to his left or right, and that was the winner.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, that weekend presented us with, again, myriad of these games where we try to stay upbeat, we try to stay energetic about our prospects and our beloved Tottenham, but the truth of the matter is it was an uninspiring performance, and it's hard to put lipstick on a pig. I mean, I suppose what we can do is maybe we talk about the things that just sort of stood out to us, not because we want to nitpick, but because they were so obvious, and ultimately if we continue on that path, it'll be so problematic. And I think the thing my takeaway, especially on the break, these players don't know how to play together. I mean, there's a number of instances, two that I can remember, and I don't want to just single out Alderweireld, but on the break where he had two or three players in front of him, and he didn't really seem to know where to go, and maybe in fairness to him, the players in front of him didn't do a very good job of, I'm going to steal your word, is it fluidity?
Fluidity.
Or fluidly?
Fluidity?
Yeah, because it just
actual
like
word.
A level of confusion, if you will.
Yeah.
It looked contrived, it looked very manufactured, and it never seemed to, the end product never really amounted to much. So that was my big takeaway, and I felt like it was a bunch of players that don't know how to play together, and I think that lots of people can be to blame for that. Players.
Yeah, I mean, there were some key takeaways for me. First of all, seeing that Eriksen wasn't in the lineup, late scratch. I didn't hear any injury reports on Friday on Eriksen, and to be honest, the conspiracy theorists who've been coming up with all kinds of stories over the last few weeks really didn't latch onto that for very long. There were a few people who said, well, perhaps he's in Turin talking to Juventus, but that died as quickly as we heard that he wasn't in the lineup. But I have to ask, was he really missed based on his previous performances? And, not so much, although his replacement was highly ineffective, and that was our boy Lamela. And I know we'll be talking about that a bit later. We do have some listeners' questions. In fact, we've got quite a few that we'll tackle and have conversation, and that is one of them about Lamela. And Jan came in for a little bit of flack. He seemed to be a bit lackadaisical, and some of his clearances certainly did leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah, remember that exchange in the early goings? He takes a stab at a ball with his right foot. It goes sky high.
And it goes behind him, right?
And it goes behind him, and it's really his ball. It's not Hugo's place to come out for that. And I don't know whether you watched that, but there was a real tete-a-tete between those two afterwards. And Jan, and I like watching him a lot because his reactions are very interesting to watch. And he's a very, I don't want to say arrogant, but he's a very cocky guy. He's a very confident guy. And you could tell that Hugo was sort of mouthing off to him, and he was kind of like, yeah, you should have come out. And they were sort of barking back and forth. And that's not the first time that's happened this season. And I thought he was... I thought he was poor. I thought he was poor. I didn't think that he had a good showing. I mean, to give Mahrez his left foot like he did is just mind-blowing to me, that a player of that kind of supposed quality, certainly experience, he should know better. He should absolutely shut the left foot down, and he just time and time again in one critical spot. I think Mahrez hit the post on that. I mean, on that, he was absolutely beaten. Vertonghen was, and I think it hit the post, didn't it?
I'm not sure if it hit the post, but obviously it was out of Lloris's